And in that time that I send upon you my divine help, you will call them once, and they all will stand up.
Yes, sir.
And when the messenger calls his people, and they all stand up bearing witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Barak Muhammad, and that Elijah Muhammad is his messenger, where will you be and how will you feel in that standing up? Will you say, oh my, I heard him calling us to the right path and I could have helped, but I didn't? Or will you be of those who say, I am one of the disciples of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I have disciplined myself to his will and to his cause, which is the cause and will of Almighty God Allah. And I'm striving hard now with my wealth and my life in the way of Allah. And in that day when victory comes and divine help comes to the messenger, you will be among those who rejoice because you were called to help and you did help. And so for your help, you are blessed.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, that great and magnificent God, we thank him for his intervention in raising amongst us the first begotten from the dead, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I want to welcome you, my listening audience, again to another installment of Know Thyself Radio Show, where we take the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad to solve the problems of the black man and woman of today. Assalamu alaikum. We'll be right back after these brief commercials. Looking for something that feels good, looks great, and stands the test of time? Well, we have it for you. Black Royalty is our athleisure line that is made from the finest bamboo and cotton blend. We have designed a high-quality tracksuit and t-shirts in multiple colors that provide you the most comfort when you need it most. Whether you're in the gym or running errands or just lounging around with loved ones, you need to be in the best quality clothing as possible. We have constructed a high quality clothing line that does not break the bank, and we beat out all of our competitors on price. So please, if you're interested in being comfortable, not just in the gym, but when you're running around and doing errands, please visit blackroyaltywear.com. Also, you can find us on Instagram at Black Royalty. And if you have any questions or comments about our brand and how you can help participate, you can find us at blackroyaltywear@gmail.com. We'll be quick to answer your questions, and with our responses, we will be very thorough. So also, like I said, Black Royalty is for you because it was made by you with the intentions of serving you. So leave all those other clothing lines behind and get on what makes sense, something that's going to stand the test of time, because black don't crack. If you enjoy delicious soul food, you know, macaroni and cheese, greens, whole wheat biscuits, cornbread, and all of your favorite barbecue dishes, but you don't want all the garbage, high cholesterol, fat that go along with it, then come on down to Soul Vegetarian on 205 East 75th Street, where we take our mothers and grandmothers' traditional soul food cooking, but make it with a vegan twist. So we remove all of the trans fats, all of the refined sugars, and all of the unnecessary salts that are put into soul food that causes high cholesterol, high blood pressure, heart disease, and a number of other diet-related diseases. But in making it taste good without worrying about all of the ill impacts that it'll have on our health. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, please stop by at 205 East 75th Street, where we will offer you delicious soul food with vegan touch. Also, we have a juice bar that's connected that we do fresh squeeze juices every day, whether it be vegetable juices or fruit smoothies, or try our vegan ice cream soft serve machine, where we do a different flavor every day. And if you're ever on the West Loop area of Chicago, Illinois, stop by our expansion brand, Vegan Now, which is located 131 North Clinton Street, where each day between 12 and 6, we serve hot dishes to go, price per pound. So 2 wonderful locations in the Chicagoland area with delicious, tasty food with a vegan twist. Please stop on by. Your health is your wealth. Looking to get the courage to get up and get out and do something this summer, whether it's just getting overall healthier state or lose a couple pounds for that beach body? Well, we got the answer for you. Summer Fitness Boot Camp, held every Saturday from June 1st to August 10th from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 39th and Cottage Grove at the football field. For a cost of $10, we put you through a rigorous training of functional and strength and endurance using only your body weight to get into the health that you need to sustain yourself long term. So if you're interested in getting your body more active and being a healthier version of yourself, come on out. Contact us 312-646-8449 or 312-391-5234. Ask for Corey or Prince Yosef. Now this is the opportunity of a lifetime where you get expertise training to get in the shape that you deserve, not just need. Once again, every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. for only a cost of $10 from the weeks of June 1st to August 10th, 2019. Come out to 39th and Cottage Grove, the football field, where you can get into a better version of yourself. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome again to another installment of Know Thyself Radio. And I want to welcome you back in such a magnificent time, because we're in the time of the manifestation of defects, where everything will be made known, clear, and open to the believers. And I wanted to get on this week and really just take my time with a subject. I won't be on here long, but I think it's something that's pertinent to our listeners. And again, I want to thank my guest last week, Brother Raheem Antoine Wright, for a beautiful and wonderful interview. And I look forward to speaking with my brother again on this magnificent show so that we can continue to get the knowledge that he has through the experiences that he have went through in his life. But I want to get back to the matter at hand today. And one of the things that has been ever prevalent subject matter in the news recently has been this upcoming presidential election. And one thing that society always tries to do in these times are put pre-selected choices in front of the people to give them the illusion that they are making a decision on their own, that they have the ability to actually participate in a society where they have some type of choice, where they are in a society where they have some type of access to the political apparatus that can invoke their freedom, that can bring forth their salvation, that can actually give them peace. And I want to just outright openly say that is so far from the truth. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that we are dealing with a race of people, one who only have a 6,000 year time period. And this people who have a limited time period are the manifestation of all of the evil that has been done on this planet. They are the devil. And I know a lot of us, we feel real apprehensive about letting it come out of our mouth. We almost feel ashamed, embarrassed, and some of us even angry when we hear another person say those words out loud, especially in the company of white people, but even around just black people. Because one, we like to think that we're all the same and that we're all equal and that humans are just humans. And for us to try to make some type of separation or try to delineate one from another is just preposterous. That's something that we shouldn't participate in, especially as a people who face the type of racism, segregation, degradation that has befallen us for centuries. But as the messenger of Allah teaches us, the only way that we're able going to truly rectify this situation, if we're ever going to reverse the wrongs that has happened to us, if we're ever going to come out of this continuous oppression, is first to acknowledge who is the one that has been driving this ship. Who has the one who has been doing these insidious things. You have to be able to identify who the devil is if you're going to remove the devil from power. You can't continue to try to say that the devil is just this spirit or is just this red bean creature with pitchforks and horns and a pointed tail, making it fictitious, making it a fairy tale, making it something that you can never actually do something about. And that's the problem with our people. We want to make the devil the same thing we made God, spookism. We want to make the devil something that we can't actually do anything about, that it's a spirit that just does something, jumping in and out of people's bodies doing wrong. No, brothers and sisters, these are people who are perpetuating this evil consciously on this planet. Now, don't get me wrong, you, black men and women, do have devil attributes. Yes, you do, brother and sister. Practice things and put into action things that are contrary to your very nature. But I said the key word, contrary to your very nature, meaning that if you were left alone and you were in a circumstance, an environment, and a situation where you can be your natural self, you wouldn't do these things. You wouldn't participate in these things. And these thoughts wouldn't be a thought that you would actually even conceive, let alone enact in your daily lives. So what am I saying? I'm saying we're dealing with a people whose nature is as such. That means there's nothing you can personally do to convince, alter, change their mind or change their way of thinking and doing things in this lifetime. You don't have the power or the ability to change one's nature. No, you don't. Not their nature. Now, you're saying, well, you said we're righteous and we do things that are contrary to our righteous nature. That means somebody changed our nature. No, they changed your outward expression. But inside, if you're put back in the proper environment, so teaches and shown by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, how he was able to take us from drug addicts, from winos, from thieves, from prostitutes, from liars, from criminals in all aspects and arenas of life, and cleaned us up and made us whole again, took us from a deaf, dumb, and blind people and made us an upright, standing, honest people with integrity, with principles, with morals. That means that, yes, you have the ability to do what we thought could not be done. And that was to free again the black man and woman's mind here in the wilderness of North America. So hear what I'm saying. So you're saying, why can't we do that for the white man? Yes, there we go. Now, like I said, our outward expression can be as such that it can show that this person may have the ability to do good. That goes without question. Yes, white people can do something good for an individual black person. It has happened before. It will happen again. But when you get to the nature of that person, it's going to be a self-serving nature. And that nature of that self-serving is to keep you deaf, dumb, and blind. So even when you get past the superficial things and you layer it back, is that person truly helping you remove the system of white supremacy? Is that person, I'm talking about your white brother and sister that you call your white brother and sister, are they helping you give you freedom, justice, and equality? Not just individual trinkets, but a system that is in place to invoke the living God, to give you knowledge of the living God, to put you in knowledge of who the devil is and who you are. I'm saying, let's get to the basic understanding of what has been given to us. We'll have to make it complex. Have they given you knowledge of God, the devil, and self? And they're helping and assisting you. Think about that. Now, I know you can't respond back to me, but it's something that you can have introspection in and have retrospect as you look back into previous experiences and really think what has been done. So if those aren't the fundamental premises on which your relationship with he or she is, then it really is not a benefit of what you need in this day and time. Otherwise, just, man, pardon my vernacular, you just BSing. And that's why we haven't able, as a collective group and body, achieve things on a mass scale. Is because we've been delusioned by who is actually supposed to be our friends, who is actually supposed to be our helpers, who is actually supposed to be our aid and our assistance in this day and time. Why is that important? That is important because, like I said, we're in a presidential election where a lot of men and women have been coming to the forefront to give you some type of solution for your problem. But the real reality is, once you get past, again, the emotionalism of the subject, you're seeing that not one person, one candidate on neither side, especially the so-called Democratic Party, which the messengers told you before won't do nothing for you, nor the Republican won't do nothing for you, but the Democratic Party, who is supposed to be an ally to black society, who, when we really look at it, has been more detrimental given all this filth and debauchery in our social environment and our social construct and our way of thinking, that it has done more damage than any of what has been done. In fact, that was the Democratic Party too. Now I think about it, when you look at the antebellum South during slavery, and you look at the Jim Crow, but white supremacists are white supremacists, whether it's Republican or Democratic. But the Democratic Party in this day and time has especially making us took 1,000 steps back, and in the false precepts that we're taking some steps forward. They haven't given you justice. They've given you homosexuality. They haven't given you justice. They've given you these so-called illegal immigrants who come in, who supplant you in society and push you lower down the totem pole, especially the white immigrants that come in, just like the white immigrants did in the late 1800s, who moved you in the back of the bus socially in this society. That's why no matter where you go on this planet, wherever this white boy has touched, you're going to be at the bottom. And it has convinced the people of the country who have just some type of connection to white society, think not they're just better than you, but prove it by their subjugation of you. Whether you're in India and you look at the Dravidians, the dark Indians, they're treated like trash. But the lighter Indians, who were African people or the original people who have mixed with the European British, who made a lighter race of people, they have that conquering spirit because they associate themselves with the oppressor. Because whether it was illegitimate, whether it was through rape, whether it was through conquest, they have their blood in them. And because they have their blood in them, and they had them being their fundamental teachers and examples, even if it was in evil and wickedness, those are the exampleship that they have taken ownership of to live their lives by. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the Haitian Revolution, how did Haiti fall back down after so-called kicking the French and the American and the Spanish behinds during that time period? It's because it was a race of people who were mixed that are connected more to the oppressor class, who had that European blood flowing in them, that had an affinity for their white mothers and fathers, who said, no, these Negroes are in the wrong. And because we seem to be an outcast ourselves because we don't have the same features as they do, even though if you are black and you are black, but because of this social construct, we've been confused as such. We've been destroyed mentally and spiritually as such. We want to connect with our oppressors because we think that's the winning team. And through their lens, it may look that way. But that's why in 1930, July 4th, that God arrived on these shores that we call North America to bring back into existence that great equalizer, to bring back into existence a great knowledge of self that would give us freedom into perpetuity. It said that the God will come himself, that a perfect and special body would be formed so that he may be the one who intercedes in our affairs. And that's what has been done. So why do we lift up the messenger of God in this day and time? Why do we hold on to his teachings as if our life depends on it? Because it does depend on it. It's because it was directly given to him by God Almighty, who would, in all of our books of scripture, of Quran, whether it be Torah, whether it be the New Gospel, whether it be anything that we have some type of spiritual affinity, if you look close enough, that is articulated in writing that great God will come for a special people, a peculiar people, who went through a certain circumstance that was unlike any other people on this planet or in the history of this planet. And that's you. So why am I going through this long diatribe, it seems? Because I want you to understand the context as I go into the messenger's book on why this is so important, and why when you look at our brothers and sisters, because it is some brothers and sisters, as you look as an external physical attributes that have a connection to the original man and women, who have a connection to the black man and women in this country. Their mind has been reformed to an extent that they don't have not one thought that would be beneficial to you and I. Matter of fact, their whole purpose as it relates to them being in that position is to make sure that you stay at the bottom, to make sure there is no way that you come out of this circumstance unscathed. So we look at this as one of the greatest times in history, because I said this is the manifestation of defects, that those type of tricks will not fool us going forward. Those type of false examples of black men and their rhetoric that they teach will not persuade us in a way that we're easily led to our demise. So I want to read something out of a message to black men in America that I think coincides with what I'm about to say. Now, this is on page 240, The True Solution. And it states, will civil rights solve the so-called Negro's problem? By no means will it, or anything else except Allah, solve our problem. Civil rights, according to the English dictionary, means the equal rights of a human being on a level with another human being. So-called Negro needs human rights, which will warrant his recognition as a human being by his slave masters. This also gives him universal rights, the same equal rights as many other human beings. Will the so-called Negro enjoy the equal rights that the American white citizens enjoy? Or will he continue to wait patiently for civil rights to come within 100 years from now? I am convinced that neither a white nor a Negro government will be here 100 years from now to witness what will take place. There is nothing good coming from the white man for the so-called Negro's future. Now listen to that. I said earlier that it will be a point that this government that's ran by the white race, also those puppets who are the so-called American Negro, who were created by the white race to be an adversarial force in black society, to be the number one detriment. See, the other side of white supremacy, we've been falsely looking at as the Ku Klux Klan or these white extremist groups. No, that's just white supremacy. But what they have done in their development of making the slave, making sure all the light has been cut off from coming to the slave, they have made themselves into you. That means a black body but a white head. So now these converts into white supremacy, though they use the exterior language sometimes of you and I, their purpose, their aim, their goal is to uphold this white supremacist society. That's why everything that they present to us has nothing to do with actually benefiting us. But it does have to do with upholding the society and these laws. That's why you have a Kamala Harris who does what? Lock up black women for truancy, for their children being late to school. In what world does that make sense? In what case does that make sense? In what situation would that be something that you need to do? See, we have to look at this in another way. We have to look at this with the light of understanding and knowledge. Because those who are familiar with history, what does that sound like to you? The vagrancy laws that were enacted after the so-called Civil War, when black men and women so-called had their freedom, that black men and women could be justly, through their laws, arrested and incarcerated for not having homes, for not having jobs, for not being able to do certain things that they had never been able to do in the history of this country or them being in this land under their oppressors. How can you remove somebody from the slave plantation, say that they are unfit to be a human being, will not give them any adequate work, just came from the cotton fields, and then when they don't have a job, when they don't have homes, what do? You incarcerate them, you lock them up. See, this is the same mentality that has been used throughout our tenure as slaves in this country. And I'm telling you that a lot of our own people who are really not our people, though they have the exterior of our people, but have the mind of our enemy and our adversary, have taken on these same beliefs, are enacting these same policies. I want to tell you about LBGTQ WVZ laws and rights. But you're not telling us the truth of the matter is that black men and women who are in these so-called homosexual environments are still getting killed, are still facing racism, are still being oppressed, are still being murdered in large numbers. So you're not telling that part. They don't have no redress running to the homosexual white community. Not at all. They're still seen as Negroes and niggers. But you, oh no. You have the audacity, because you have got some type of tokenism in the society, to try to put that at the forefront as if that is something that we should be focusing on. That is something that we need to be putting our energy and aim to. Try to separate black man and woman so that we can be at odds, have enmity between the two, so that we can properly have the structure and family that we need to, so that we can continuously build ourselves up to be a whole people again, to be a free people again, to be an independent people again. That is what you have been taking from us, and that's what you have been using in those co-conspirators who have the audacity to try to come in and pander to black society just because they have black skin. See, we picked up on the devil's games and his tricks because we're in the season of manifestation, of defects. Okay, back to the messenger. This is important now. I have repeatedly warned you that there is no justice for you in the white man. No intersexuality. No, we all one. No, it's a financial thing. See, the problem isn't racism, it's classism. See, they keep lying to you. They keep trying to change the parameters in which you identify yourself so you stay confused. I don't care if you have $1 or you have $1 billion. You're always going to be a Negro, and when they want to take you out or do something detrimental to you, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. I don't keep having to say Bill Cosby and all these other people. Hell, they killed Jordan's father, allegedly, for him not playing rules and playing by the rules in a sports game. So that's how they play. That's how they take their stuff serious. And you see, he ain't said it. He started getting them with white and Mexican women, and you ain't heard him say nothing else since then. Now, you got to look deeper into what's going on. And the messenger of God is the answer for that. The Civil Rights Bill was made up by white people and passed by white people. Even at this late date, there is no indication that the white man will or even desires to treat the so-called Negro equally, even in 2019. It is not his nature to treat you or even his kind right. It cannot be done. Now, I said this before. Now I say it again. If you look at through all the wars that they've participated in and all the things they've done and all the atrocities, the white boy really don't care about the white boy like that. But what he does have, he has a code of ethics as it relates to how bad he wants to treat you. So he will uplift his peasant brother or sister as long as it keeps you at the bottom. See, the aim of white supremacy, no matter if you're the richest or the poorest, is to have somebody to lord over and to rule over. And that has always been the aim of white supremacy. White people were tired of being at the bottom and not having no one to control or to be better or to justify their lives with. And that's why the black man, especially starting in America, but throughout this planet, has always been the answer for that. And that's how white supremacy thrives, because they know at the end of the day, their white skin is enough to make them better and have more benefits than you. So you can play in the NBA. You can have a prestigious job on Wall Street, supposedly, or be a doctor or a lawyer or some type of entertainer. You can do these things. But at the end of the day, Huckleberry and Mary Lee down in Nebraska still has more rights than you. They don't have to worry about being shot dead by the police. They don't have to worry about certain things happening to them and losing their lives at the end of the day, because their white skin is enough for them that they can go take a policeman's car, fight a policeman, do whatever they want, and they can still come out unscathed. They can still come out alive. Their livelihood won't be destroyed. They're going to get the benefit of the doubt at the end of the day. That doesn't mean a white boy won't kill another white boy. Yes, he will. But at the end of the day, they have codes. And if they do kill each other, they're not going to display it on television, put it into the minds of the people a sense of hopelessness. See, when you get killed, when you get murdered, it is being displayed not just on local news, but national and global news, showing that you are the scum of the earth. When you do something bad, when you do something wrong, it is shown that you are a deprived, sick animal, and that you do not deserve justice, that you do not deserve equality, that you do not deserve human rights. That is the difference. That is the distinction, because white people are the number one perpetuators of crime and lawlessness. But when they show old Western movies, when they show mob movies, it is in a light of reverence. They almost deified in a sense. They become heroes. And on the opposite end, you have been vilified. And I said it again, I said before, even with the whole movie, a series that was done on Netflix about the Central Park 5, even today they show those men broken down and torn. And it shows them that, yeah, that happened then and you feel some type of sadness, but it's still happening today, showing you that nothing has changed, that you don't have no power. That's the key, to keep the black man away from having power. Somebody always and will always have the ability to determine your life. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., the 1964 Nobel Peace Prize winner, would have honored himself and his people if he had refused the medal. The money could have been accepted since his people need it, even if he did not need it himself. There are poor among his followers who really need financial help. He won neither peace nor justice for his people. See, the messenger of God really lays it out, because when you look at these symbolic gestures that white society gives you to try to reduce your fight as it relates to it going against them or being in some type of opposition to them. They know that we are easily won over with their acceptance or acknowledgement of us. Because like I said, it's not acceptance, it's their ability to acknowledge us. That's what we care about. And that's the problem that we have to get over. We cannot just want acceptance without any tangible change. See, it's time for us to wake up, people. This is what we have to overcome. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. wants brotherhood with white America for himself and his followers. As reported here, the Nobel Peace Prize was conferred on him in Norway. Reverend King sharply warned in the St. Paul's Cathedral that a doctrine of black supremacy was a great danger as one of white supremacy. He followed up with the words, "Unless men and nations live together, they will perish together." Then came the statement, according to the paper, "Too many of our white brothers are only concerned with their economical problems, their social status, their political powers, and their so-called way of life. Of his own people," he said, "we must not seek to rise from a position of disadvantage to one of advantage, substituting injustice of one type for that of another." Now, the reason why the messenger outlined this, and I wanted to read this, because this is the same tactic that is being used today. This bait and switch to try to convince you that being submissive to white supremacy is acceptable and it's the way of God. It's the way of a righteous, redeeming people. That you are to disregard your own well-being for that of another one. Now, he was saying that, hey, my white brother and sister, which there's no such thing, in the sense that you both have the same purpose and the same interest. That's what I mean by white brother and sister. Yeah, you may have a mother who have white children and you call it, that's okay, I understand that. But you have to understand that as a black man and a black woman, that white men and white women have two distinct purposes for living. And they have two different distinct desires of how they want to live their life. And that's okay. That's not a problem. The problem is that when their lifestyle, their way of living infringes on yours, that it stops the process of you acquiring and sustaining your freedom, justice, and equality. That's where we come in opposition. So of course, there's nothing wrong with the white man caring about his social status, his political status, his way of life. That's what he should be concerned about. But the problem is that in his concern for that, it is to directly and indirectly disadvantage the original black man and woman. And for you, King, at that time, because you end up changing your tune a little bit after meeting the messenger of Allah, but all of you who took it on this rhetoric in this day and time, they got up there propped as presidential candidates, Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, and we can go down the list, but all those jokes, and I mean that respectfully, but jokes in the sense that they have anything that will be of consequence to you and I, it's a joke, a literal ha ha ha, because nothing that they say has no real substance. And so the only thing we can look at as a joke, and a joke in the sense that we shouldn't disregard it, in the sense that what they're doing is really detrimental to us, that we should be aware of who they are and what they are, because they're not playing about what they're trying to do, but a joke that we would never take it serious is actually implemented in our lives. The answer is in a book that we're reading right now, Message to the Black Man, and that's why I really implore my people to look at it. See, you've been given the message of God in a spooky way, or you've been getting him in a disrespectful way. But I'm saying seek for yourself for the open and unbiased eye about who this man is, what he has been teaching, and how it can benefit you directly right now. I told you before that I wasn't raised up in the traditions of I was raised up, but not really it being forced. But in the latter part of my growth and development, 18 on, I was raised up in the traditions of Hebrewisms, not in the nation of Islam, not under the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, but being one who says that I'm a spiritual soul one who knows and understands truth when I hear it, because it says when those who hear my voice will understand, those who are my sheep will hear my voice. When I hear the voice of God being spoken, I have to take heed. So I'm telling you that though I may have come from a cultural different background, though it wasn't that different once you really get to it, but for the sake of this conversation, once I heard the truth, I couldn't disregard it, nor can I disrespect the man who was delivering that message. And I knew that if I was going to be successful, that my mission and his mission would be intertwined, that I would have to take on the same responsibilities, not take his spot, not try to be him because it's only one message of God, but to take on the work that he took on for freeing our people using the knowledge of Almighty God. That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying for Dr. Martin Luther King, and that's why you see they try to parade him, this dreamer out there, and using these type of examples, because he tells us not to take ourselves from a position of disadvantage to advantage. And what sense does that make? Who would want to continuously stay in a position of disadvantage? And to think that having self-pride and knowledge of self and being concerned about ourselves is not justice. That's the truest form of justice. Because it should never be a time that it should be inequality amongst the people, especially at the hands of somebody else. So as the scripture outlines, no, my dear Reverend, who studied at some of the most prestigious schools and who was highly educated, you know better. The scripture does not teach about God and the devil coming together in harmony, but it talks about separating the wheat from the tare, the wicked from the righteous, those who hear and those who follow thy teachings, and those who go away, and those who turn away, who go astray and reject thy teachings. It has to be a separation. Brother, you were teaching lies because the oppressor had acknowledged you. Then, and it goes to say, I have never heard of any such talk coming from a leader's mouth in all my life. If a man is not going to rise from a position of disadvantage, why is he preaching for the passage of the Civil Rights Bill for his people? No wonder he had the privilege of going into a cathedral where no so-called Negro had ever stood in the pulpit. He is ignorant, preaching for the brotherhood of white people and the destruction of his own people, because there has never been a time in recorded history that there has been a cohesive bond with white society and black society as a whole that was beneficial to our people. So if you're teaching, which he would let us say, that I have integrated my people into a burning building, duh. It was on fire from the start and it'll continuously be on fire. Pardon the cheap expression of duh, but I have to just make it plain because I want us to see the reality of what we have been participating in and what we continuously participate in. It should be not one time that something is verbalized out of our mouth that we're talking about anything else except black freedom, black independence, black separation from this society. Yes, brother and sister, for those who are pushing the reparations piece, push it, push it, push it. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about economic compensation. But don't do it, and don't, on the other end, still be working towards your own economic freedom and economic separation and economic development. You push it, but at the same time, you never stop working. You continue to devise and develop plans of how to destroy their economics by not participating in it. Because remember, economics isn't no monetary form of currency. It's the energy of the people. It's those who participate in the system to keep it going. Those paper dollars are not what's keeping their economic system afloat. It is the energy of the black men and women in this country and throughout this world, like it has been since its inception. America did not exist until slave labor was the ones who created everything that they did. Cotton, the tobacco, the sugar, the development of the fruit, the agriculture, the architecture, Don't forget Benjamin Banneker developed Washington, D.C., they so-called capital. The Farmers' Almanac. I mean, I could go down the list of everything that we have done up until this point to continue their economic system, which is their lifeline to keep on working. We got to look at this differently. Go back to the messenger. According to the Bible, he preaches from it, you should not make friends or have friendships with the wicked if you are the righteous. And you should not worship the devils. Most certainly, the white man is the devil. His own Bible teaches him that. He said, God is not interested in the freedom of white, black, or yellow man, but in the freedom of the whole human race. Here again, the Reverend shows that he has not studied the scripture, for it surely teaches you that the world has been under the rule of Satan, the devil, for 6,000 years. And now separation must come between God's people and the devil so that the righteous can survive. This kind of talk coming from a theological college graduate is almost unbelievable. How many American so-called Negroes would like to follow a man who speaks like one who cares nothing about them? And that's why you see our people are in this condition, because a lot of preachers, not all, but a lot of preachers preach like King did in this particular situation. And a lot of preachers who preach in this day and time try to emulate that mentality, not the one who met with the messenger of God and started to change a little bit, but like the messenger said, he was petrified, he was scared to death, but he was still exposed to truth. But this one, who was complicit in the destruction of our people, he was complicit. How many of us are complicit in this day and time with the destruction of our people? There is no way, listen to me, y'all, there is no way that we come out of this any other way but the way that God has prescribed for us. Reverend King has made it clear that he never wants the black man to rule, because he knows it will be just as dangerous as white supremacy. This shows that all black people should disregard anything that a man like that says. He disagreed that his people should ever rise from the level of a subjected people of slavery. I would like to ask Reverend under whom he would like to live, since he condemns the ability of both for the supremacy of character of ruling the nations of the earth, as the white man has done and enjoyed for the last 4,000 years. He wants to be a brother to the white man and wants the black man to be like the white man. This is continued enslavement. I am just wondering how many followers he has after his last statements. I've heard Reverend King say on television that he wanted the white people to be his brothers, not his brothers-in-law. He loves our enemies, and any black person who believes in himself should not go near or even listen to this type of teaching. It is really awful to hear a man say such things when he has been beaten and thrown into jail seeking the right to exercise the rights of a member of his own black nation. Listen to that now. You got to get out of this mentality where you don't want to fight for freedom. You got to get out of this mentality that you keep reducing yourself to less than. You are the cream of the planet Earth. You are the owner and the maker. You are. You don't have to reduce yourself to something less than because you're afraid to be in the position that you have been created for. You are the stewards of this earth. You are the one who has the power to master this creation as it relates. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches that we're greater than the sun, that the sun is second to us. Because the sun cannot change his trajectory, nor his nature, nor his orbit, but the black man and woman has the ability to do that. He can act independent of God if so choose. So think how much power you have, and you squander it, and you waste it, and you let yourself be subjected to this type of treatment. Wake up. Hear this truth. I am not on here to give you anything but the truth is so taught by the messenger of God. Why? Because it's what we need. I can come over here and crack some jokes. I can come over here and talk about pop culture. I can come over here and play some games and talk about music and whatever sports and all that other crap. But it's enough of that. You need hard, cold truth, which has been given to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's what you don't have enough of, and that's what you could never get enough of. That's why I've chosen to speak on the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because I know what it's done for me, and I know what it will do for you if you so choose this great truth. Finish up. So in a view of such statements, Reverend King is no good among black people. You got to understand that. You get emotional. King, he's our hero. Yes, but what he was teaching, especially in this particular juncture, is no good for our people. Why? Because it has not produced a positive change or beneficial change that is advantageous for the black man and woman in America. That's why. Because 1 + 1 = 2 and 2 + 2 = 4. If you add it up mathematically, it's going to come out. This and what he has taught and what he has done up until that point did not give anything that was beneficial for our people. That's all we're saying. It has nothing to do with the person, but what was coming out of the person's mouth and what it produced. That's what we grade. That's what we rate. You get so caught up in characteristics and individuals that you miss what has been taught and what has been done. And that's what we care about. That's what we care about. So when we say the white man is devil, it's because his action has produced everything that a devil would produce. Give a care if you're dating or not dating them, if you had some type of friendship. That's immaterial. We're talking about the actions that they have produced, and if you look at it with an unbiased eye, every time it's going to equal out into death and destruction. 1 + 1 = 2. White man plus his actions equal the devil. Are you going to follow such teachings, or will you turn around and join your own kind? I cannot see nor can I understand why the so-called American Negro is so blind, deaf, and dumb. We have the right to live and do for ourselves and our children. We do not want any more promises, and we cannot get along in peace with a universally known enemy of black men. Everybody knows who the enemy of the black man is. Everybody knows how you've been done and how you've been treated. But you refuse to do something about it. Since Allah has revealed the very nature of the Caucasian race, they are devils. There is no way of changing them to be anything other than what they are. So please, brother and sister, as we get to wrap up, as you look at this presidential candidacy race, look at what has been done, what has been said, and their track record, and see if there's anything that's beneficial for you. That's why he said we don't participate in this political cycle, because we know the outcome. Now, the adversary, he does the same thing. He just changed his tactics. So he's seeing how effective Obama was. Hey, let's throw out another image of a black person. Let's give him a black woman, but one who would do the diabolical plan of this white devil. So be circumspect about what is going into your hearing and what you're viewing. But in yet circumspection, be aware enough to do something about it. Participate in your own freedom, and don't be waiting on somebody else to do something for you. Your life shouldn't be based on somebody else's ability to be free, but you have an ability to accept your own and do for self. Therefore, free yourself, because God has come to put us in a mentality that has finally been resurrected enough so that we can be a free people again. Your obligation is to remove the subjugation of this white oppressor. Hear what I said? Your obligation is to remove the subjugation of this white oppressive society, system, and group of people. The time is now. We are in a season of the manifestation of defects. That means nobody has the ability to lie to you under the auspice of being your friend or telling you truth. Nobody using the rhetoric that Dr. Martin Luther King used in that time has the ability to persuade you if you so look. You have to choose to be disillusioned. You have to choose to be persuaded in the wrong way. You have to choose to be lied to and accept those lies. Thank you for listening. Until next time, I leave you in the words of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum.
So in the Holy Quran it reads, O you who believe, shall I lead you to a merchandise which will deliver you from a painful chastisement?
Quoting
You
scripture
should
of the Holy
believe in
Quran.
Allah and His Messenger and strive hard in Allah's way with your wealth and your lives. This is better for you. Did you? But look at this admonition. Strive hard in the way of Allah and His Messenger with your wealth and your lives. This month, the month of October, we in the nation of Islam want to help Messenger Muhammad with a mighty help, with a mighty striving with our wealth and our lives. We want to sell more Muhammad newspapers than we ever sold. We want to get more fish to our people than we ever have delivered. And
Now you have to put
than we ever have done. So that our messenger will look
you wait till
smile at
he
his
get them all.
These are
You know,
my
with the
disciples.
spirit.
Yes, sir.
I have
And
asked
then they
who are my helpers, and
yeah.
here they are. They are present. And in their help is their reward. In their help is their blessing. In their help of the messenger is mercy and forgiveness. And above all, victory at hand. Salvation. The certainty of divine help. If none of
Allah
us
couldn't
help,
give me a belt.
Allah is sufficient for the messenger, and He is certain of Allah's help. If you feel as I
This man
feel,
is a helper, right?
Yes,
we should unite with Messenger
He preaches
Muhammad
for help.
to help him,
That makes him
so
a
that
great.
when Allah's help comes, that help will also come to us. Thank you for listening. May Allah grant you the light of understanding as I greet you in peace in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum.